The latest royal news has brought major developments involving Prince Harry and Meghan Markle. At the same time, questions are being raised about whether Princess Catherine is taking a stronger stance against anti-monarchy protesters, and whether Prince Andrew is attempting to make a royal comeback through his daughters, Princess Beatrice and Princess Eugenie. The show revealed exclusive information about Harry and Meghan's plans to return to the UK. Meanwhile, Catherine's icy reaction to anti-monarchy demonstrators has gone viral, and Prince Andrew has once again been excluded from a major royal event. Despite this, speculation continues about whether he is quietly trying to find a path back into royal life, and why he reportedly still insists on staff using his royal titles behind closed doors. The biggest revelation was that while Prince Harry's attendance at events marking the one-year countdown to the Birmingham Invictus Games had already been expected, Meghan Markle and their two children, Prince Archie and Princess Lilibet, are also reportedly set to return to the UK. Their team has not confirmed the plans, possibly due to security concerns. The news is particularly surprising because Harry previously told the BBC that he could not imagine bringing his wife and children back to the UK under the current circumstances. Royal commentator Tom Sykes described the development as a sensational breakthrough, noting that there have been signs for months that King Charles might be willing to facilitate some form of return for Harry and his family. He suggested that the key questions now are whether the Sussexes have received the level of security they have long requested, and whether their visit will take place with the King's blessing and within the wider royal framework. It was also noted that Harry's security threat assessment had reportedly been under review, although no official outcome has yet been announced. The discussion also highlighted that Meghan has not visited the UK in several years, and that many believe she would never return. According to a source close to Meghan, she has the thickest of skin, suggesting that she is not worried about criticism or negative public reactions. Commentator Mark Dolan described the story as potentially the biggest royal news of the year, pointing out that it could also mark a significant personal moment for King Charles, who has had limited opportunities to spend time with his grandchildren. Dolan questioned why the entire family would travel to the UK for what is essentially a countdown event, arguing that Harry could have participated virtually. In his view, the visit sends a message that the Sussexes want to reconnect with the royal family and possibly reestablish a more public royal role. He also claimed that their business ventures have faced challenges, their media projects have lost momentum, and Netflix is no longer showing the same level of commitment to their future productions. As a result, he believes this return could be an important step in rebuilding the Sussex brand and strengthening their royal credentials. The conversation concluded with discussion about Meghan's lifestyle brand as ever. When asked whether the UK visit could serve as a promotional opportunity for the brand, Dolan argued that as ever is facing difficulties and suggested that the return to Britain may also help Meghan and Harry improve their public image while drawing renewed attention to their commercial ventures. The discussion then turned to Meghan Markle's business ventures, particularly her lifestyle brand as ever. Mark Dolan argued that the brand is facing significant challenges and mocked one of its products, suggesting that even its signature fruit spread has struggled to generate enthusiasm. In his view, both Harry and Meghan need to reconnect with the royal family because the association provides them with valuable status, titles, influence, and public prestige. He claimed that Meghan's popularity in the United States has been declining and suggested that their return to the UK represents an important opportunity to strengthen their public image. At the same time, he described the development as a setback for Prince William and Princess Catherine, arguing that William would likely be unhappy about the renewed attention surrounding the Sussexes. The conversation then shifted to the family aspect of the visit. According to a source close to Harry, it has been a source of great sadness for him that he has been unable to bring Meghan and their children back to the UK safely to reconnect with friends and relatives. The source added that Harry would love to introduce Archie and Lilibet to the wider royal family and show them the places where he grew up. However, when asked whether the Sussex children might spend time with their cousins, Prince George, Princess Charlotte, and Prince Louis, Tom Sykes was highly skeptical. He argued that the ongoing tensions between Harry and Meghan and the Wales family remained too deep for such a reunion to be likely. Sykes went on to criticize Harry and Meghan's previous public comments about the royal family, including their interview with Oprah Winfrey and the claims made in Harry's memoir, Spare. He argued that many of the difficulties they now face are the result of their own actions, and suggested that portraying themselves as victims ignores the sequence of events that led to the family rift. According to him, friends of William and Catherine have made it clear that relations remain extremely strained and that they place much of the blame for the breakdown on Meghan. He pointed out that before stepping back from royal duties, Harry often spoke warmly of William, even crediting his brother with encouraging him to seek therapy and supporting him through difficult periods of his life. The discussion highlighted what commentators see as a dramatic contrast between Harry's earlier praise of William and the accusations that later appeared in Spare. Sykes noted that some passages in the book were particularly controversial, including Harry's suggestion that he may have been viewed merely as a spare to his older brother. He argued that expecting the royal family to simply move past such allegations is unrealistic. Mark Dolan then joked that Meghan may have played a role in shaping some of the book's most contentious sections, though he acknowledged there is no proof of that claim. He further suggested that Meghan encouraged Harry to view himself as a victim and to distance himself from the institution and the people around him. The host noted that Harry himself has repeatedly denied that Meghan was the driving force behind their departure from royal life. Nevertheless, the commentators argued that some of Harry's earlier interviews appear inconsistent with statements he made after stepping back from royal duties. They reflected on how remarkable it is that, only a few years ago, the idea of the entire Sussex family returning to the UK would have been met with excitement rather than controversy. As the conversation continued, Tom Sykes suggested that the reported return of Harry, Meghan, Archie, and Lilibet could represent a significant reversal of the events that followed Megxit. He argued that it raises questions about whether the arrangements agreed upon after the Sandringham summit are gradually being reconsidered. According to Sykes, King Charles ultimately wants reconciliation and would prefer to see Harry and the rest of the family rebuild their relationship. He suggested that the king hopes bridges can eventually be repaired and that family members may one day be able to move beyond the divisions that have defined recent years. The discussion then moved to the broader implications of Harry and Meghan's reported return to the UK, with commentators debating whether King Charles is effectively undoing the arrangements that followed Megxit. Tom Sykes suggested that the king's new deputy private secretary, Theo Rycroft, is known as a peacemaker who believes the ongoing conflict between Prince Harry and Prince William is damaging to the monarchy. According to Sykes, there are people within royal circles who feel the brothers should reconcile for the good of the institution. However, he also argued that many members of the British public may not welcome such a development. Mark Dolan described the situation as both a major story and a potentially dangerous moment for the monarchy. While acknowledging the significance of the reported return, he argued that allowing Harry and Meghan back into the royal fold could create new opportunities for future books, documentaries, interviews, and memoirs based on their experiences. In his view, the monarchy risks providing fresh material for further public revelations, something he believes could prove damaging to the institution in the long run. The conversation then turned to whether Harry and Meghan have truly moved beyond the era of explosive interviews, Netflix projects, and royal criticism. Dolan argued that the reported arrangement resembles the half-in, half-out model that Queen Elizabeth II firmly rejected. He praised the late Queen's judgment, claiming she understood that such a compromise would be difficult to sustain both emotionally and institutionally. According to him, recent comments and appearances by Harry suggest that he still sees himself as connected to royal duties, which critics believe conflicts with the agreements reached when he stepped back from royal life. Dolan further argued that King Charles's willingness to engage with Harry stems from his desire to maintain a relationship with his son and grandchildren. He suggested that the king's wish to see Archie and Lilibet may be a major factor behind any efforts toward reconciliation. At the same time, he claimed that Harry and Meghan have benefited from the king's softer approach and his willingness to keep communication channels open. In his view, Charles's desire for family unity has created an opportunity for the Sussexes to re-establish ties with the royal family. The discussion also revisited Harry and Meghan's long-running concerns about security in the UK. Commentators questioned how Harry could feel comfortable traveling to locations considered dangerous while continuing to argue that Britain poses security risks to his family. They pointed to Meghan's international travel and Harry's visits abroad as examples they believe contradict some of the couple's previous arguments regarding personal safety. Another concern raised during the discussion was the possibility of renewed controversy if Harry and Meghan spend more time around the royal family. Critics speculated about whether fresh misunderstandings or allegations could emerge, potentially reigniting old disputes. However, The host noted that much remains unknown about the details of the trip and emphasized that the true implications of the visit will only become clear once events unfold. The conversation concluded by focusing on Prince William's position within the unfolding story. Tom Sykes argued that William is a central figure in any potential reconciliation and claimed there has been significant tension between the households of King Charles and the Prince of Wales. According to him, reports of disagreements between the two royal courts have circulated for years, with some observers tracing the roots of those tensions back to William's difficult childhood experiences and the lasting impact of his parents' highly publicized divorce. As discussions about Harry's return continue, many royal watchers believe William's response could ultimately play a key role in determining whether any lasting reconciliation is possible. The discussion continued with a deeper examination of the relationship between King Charles and Prince William. Tom Sykes argued that William's outlook has been shaped significantly by his close relationship with his late mother, Princess Diana. He noted that William was often described as Diana's confidant during difficult periods of her life, and suggested that those experiences left a lasting impact on him. According to Sykes, William has always placed a strong emphasis on duty and institutional stability, understanding that he will one day inherit the responsibility of leading the monarchy. For that reason, he has often chosen to suppress personal frustrations in order to protect the institution. Sykes claimed that differences between William and Charles were visible even during recent royal events. He suggested that after trooping the color, William and Catherine reportedly left quickly rather than spending additional time with the wider family, which he interpreted as evidence of their differing views from the king. He also argued that William was heavily influenced by Queen Elizabeth II, recalling reports that the future king spent time with his grandmother during his years at Eton, learning about royal responsibilities and the long-term demands of the crown. In his view, William's approach to monarchy reflects the late Queen's philosophy more closely than his father's. The conversation also explored claims of an ongoing divide between King Charles and Prince William. Sykes maintained that reports portraying the two as completely united often overlooked genuine differences in perspective. He referenced previous stories suggesting the pair had held strategy discussions about the future of the monarchy, claiming that sources had disputed some of those accounts. According to him, while father and son may work together publicly, there are significant disagreements behind the scenes, particularly when it comes to Harry and Meghan. Sykes argued that the reported return of Harry, Meghan, Archie, and Lilibet to UK highlights those differences. In his view, King Charles is more open to reconciliation and restoring family ties, while William remains far more cautious. He suggested that William sees the issue through the lens of protecting the institution and maintaining the standards established during Queen Elizabeth's reign. When asked whether Prince William had been consulted about the reported plans, Sykes responded that William respects the hierarchy of the royal family and ultimately accepts that his father, as king, has the final authority. He described William as someone who follows protocol and understands the chain of command, contrasting him with Harry, whom he portrayed as more rebellious and resistant to royal structures. According to Sykes, this difference in temperament has played a major role in how the two brothers have responded to life within the monarchy. The discussion then turned to personality comparisons within the royal family. Sykes suggested that Harry shares some traits with Princess Diana, including emotional openness and impatience with traditional systems, while William is more reserved and methodical. He also argued that King Charles himself has often displayed a rebellious streak throughout his life, making him in some ways more similar to Harry than William. These differing personalities, he suggested, help explain the contrasting approaches each royal has taken toward family relationships and public life. Finally, attention shifted to Archie and Lilibet and how visible they might be during any UK visit, since the children have largely been kept out of the public eye. Particularly during their early years, the hosts wondered whether this trip could mark their most significant public appearance yet. Mark Dolan speculated that the visit could become a major media event, with intense public and press interest surrounding the children. He argued that the return of the Sussex family would generate enormous attention and could significantly boost interest in Harry and Meghan at a time when some commentators believe their public profile has been fading. The segment ended on a light-hearted note, with the panel joking about how surprising it would be if the family arrived in the UK without any advance announcement and suddenly appeared before an unsuspecting public. The discussion then shifted to what Harry and Meghan's reported return to the UK could mean for their public profile and future projects. Mark Dolan argued that the move could strengthen what some commentators describe as a rival court based in Montecito, California. He suggested that renewed royal connections could increase interest from American broadcasters, publishers, and commercial partners who may see fresh opportunities in the Sussex brand. He also noted that Archie and Lilibet are increasingly being viewed as an important part of Harry and Meghan's long-term public image, potentially becoming a significant element of their future brand identity. When asked about the motivations behind the Sussexes' reported plans, the host explained that sources close to the couple consistently emphasize family as the primary reason. According to those sources, reconnecting with relatives and rebuilding personal relationships is a major factor in the decision. However, the host also pointed out that after observing Harry and Meghan during their recent visit to Australia, there appeared to be a noticeable shift in their strategy. She suggested that the couple has entered a new phase in which they are actively developing a model that combines public appearances, charitable work, and media visibility. The host argued that the Australia trip may have served as a testing ground for this new approach and suggested that the reported UK visit could represent a much larger step in that direction. While she acknowledged that supporters may see this as a positive development, she also predicted that it could generate significant controversy and media attention. The panel agreed that if the Sussexes continue down this path, royal watchers are likely to face years of intense debate and scrutiny surrounding their activities. The conversation then turned once again to security concerns. Tom Sykes noted that Harry has repeatedly stated that he would not bring Meghan and their children back to the UK without appropriate protection. He argued that if the family is indeed planning to return, many observers will assume that some form of satisfactory security arrangement has been reached. However, the host stressed that she had no specific information regarding security decisions and cautioned against drawing firm conclusions until more details become available. As the discussion moved away from the Sussexes, attention turned to the British summer royal season, which includes major events such as Royal Ascot, the Order of the Garter ceremony, and Trooping the Colour. The host recalled a viral moment during Trooping the Colour involving Catherine, Princess of Wales. As Catherine traveled in a carriage with her children, anti-monarchy protesters could be seen and heard nearby. According to the host, the children appeared somewhat confused by the situation, and a brief look from Catherine toward the protesters quickly attracted widespread attention online. Mark Dolan said he sympathized with Catherine's reaction, arguing that while peaceful protest is an important part of democratic society, booing during a public event involving young children crossed a line. He maintained that people have every right to oppose a monarchy, but he felt that targeting a family occasion in such a way was unnecessary and unhelpful. The host agreed that the children's reactions were what made the moment particularly striking. As a parent herself, she said she could understand why Catherine might have felt protective. She suggested that the footage appeared to reveal a rare glimpse of Catherine's maternal instincts, something that royal watchers do not often see publicly. The host also reflected on Catherine's reputation for remaining calm, disciplined, and emotionally controlled throughout her years in public life. Because she rarely displays strong emotions in public, the moment attracted even greater attention and led many observers to speculate that she may be entering a more assertive phase of her royal role. The conversation then returned to Catherine, Princess of Wales, and the viral moment that captured widespread attention during Trooping the Colour. When asked whether Catherine's stern look toward anti-monarchy protesters was intentional, Mark Dolan suggested that while she is undoubtedly human and capable of emotional reactions, she is also known for her remarkable self-control and resilience. He recalled the period when Catherine and Prince William briefly separated during their younger years, noting that she handled intense media scrutiny with dignity, despite the personal difficulty of the situation. According to him, that experience demonstrated her strength of character long before she became a senior royal. Dolan also emphasized Catherine's protective nature as a mother. He suggested that seeing protesters booing while her children were present may have triggered a natural maternal instinct, resulting in a look that quickly went viral online. He joked that the expression rivaled some of the most famous stern stares in popular culture, and argued that it reflected a side of Catherine that the public rarely gets to see. He further suggested that comparisons between Meghan Markle and Catherine continue to dominate royal commentary. Catherine appears more than capable of handling any challenge that comes her way. Tom Sykes agreed that Catherine may have been underestimated in the past, but argued that those days are over. He pointed particularly to the way she handled her cancer diagnosis and recovery. According to him, Catherine managed the situation on her own terms, carefully choosing when and how to communicate with the public. Despite intense speculation and pressure for more information, she remained firm in controlling her own narrative. Sykes argued that this approach earned widespread respect and demonstrated a level of strength and confidence that many people had previously overlooked. The commentators also compared Catherine's resilience with Meghan Markle's. While Meghan has often been described by supporters as having a thick skin, the panel argued that Catherine has displayed similar toughness throughout difficult periods of her life. They noted that she resisted pressure to return to public duties before she felt ready and remained focused on her recovery despite constant public attention. As a result, they believe her popularity has reached new heights and that she has become one of the royal family's most valuable and admired figures. Her recent public engagements, including a successful visit to Italy, were cited as evidence of her growing influence and popularity. The discussion then shifted to another major royal development: reports that Prince George will attend Eton College, following the footsteps of both Prince William and Prince Harry. The announcement generated excitement among the panel, particularly because Eton is one of Britain's most prestigious schools and has educated numerous prime ministers, public figures, and members of the royal family. Tom Sykes, who attended Eton himself, reflected on his own experience at the school. Although he joked about having a complicated relationship with his former school and humorously mentioned being expelled, he ultimately described the education he received there as an extraordinary privilege. He explained that modern admission standards are extremely competitive and academically demanding, suggesting that Prince George must have performed very well to secure a place. According to Sykes, the school does not offer special treatment to celebrities or royals because doing so would ultimately make life more difficult for the students themselves. When asked why William and Catherine may have chosen Eton for George, Sykes pointed out that although the school is highly exclusive, it is located within a functioning town rather than being completely isolated. Students can interact with the surrounding community, visit local shops, and experience aspects of everyday life, while still benefiting from a structured and prestigious educational environment. He suggested that this balance of tradition, independence, and exposure to the outside world may have appealed to the Prince and Princess of Wales. The conversation also touched on practical considerations, including security. Sykes noted that Eton already educates numerous high-profile students, making it well-equipped to manage the security requirements associated with Prince George. He added that George will likely experience many aspects of boarding school life, which can help prepare him for the responsibilities and independence expected of a future king. Overall, the panel viewed the reported decision as a significant milestone in George's life and an important step in his future development within the royal family. The discussion continued with Prince George's future at Eton College and what the decision says about the parenting approach of Prince William and Catherine. The panel agreed that boarding school offers an important sense of continuity and stability, particularly for children who live highly public lives. They noted that many military families choose boarding schools for similar reasons, allowing children to maintain a consistent routine despite changes elsewhere in their lives. Given that George is second in line to the throne, they argued that a structured environment such as Eton could provide valuable preparation for his future responsibilities. The commentators also emphasized that the decision would not have been made without Catherine's full support. They suggested that one of William and Catherine's greatest priorities has always been providing their children with as normal a childhood as possible despite their extraordinary circumstances. According to the panel, the Prince and Princess of Wales have largely succeeded in keeping Prince George, Princess Charlotte, and Prince Louis out of the spotlight, except for carefully managed public appearances and official family photographs. They contrasted this approach with Harry and Meghan's handling of their children's public profiles, arguing that William and Catherine have generally maintained a higher level of privacy for their family. Attention then shifted to another royal controversy involving Prince Andrew and his daughters, Princess Beatrice and Princess Eugenie. The discussion centered on their recent attendance at Peter Philip's wedding, where both sisters appear alongside other members of the royal family. According to Tom Sykes, there had been uncertainty beforehand about whether Beatrice and Eugenie would attend, particularly given the lingering impact of controversies surrounding Prince Andrew. However, he claimed that Andrew personally encouraged his daughters to attend and represent the York family publicly. Sykes alleged that Prince Andrew played an active role behind the scenes, urging Beatrice and Eugenie not to withdraw from public life. He described reports suggesting that Andrew viewed the event as an opportunity for the York family to maintain visibility within royal circles. According to his account, the sisters' arrival at the wedding appeared carefully managed and designed to maximize public attention, with photographers able to capture them throughout their walk to the church. One particular moment attracted attention when photographers captured images of Princess Eugenie interacting with family members during the event. Sykes argued that the overall appearance felt highly choreographed and interpreted it as part of a broader effort to re-establish the York sisters' public presence. He also referenced claims that Andrew remains deeply attached to his royal status and titles despite his reduced role within the monarchy. The host noted that these reports seemed to conflict with previous stories suggesting that Princess Eugenie, in particular, had become more distant from her father. If Andrew's advice played such a significant role in their attendance, it could indicate that their relationship remained stronger than many observers previously believed. In response, Sykes suggested that Beatrice appears to have maintained a closer relationship with Andrew, while Eugenie has spent more time building an independent life away from the core royal environment, particularly since relocating to Portugal. According to Sykes, the two sisters have increasingly developed distinct public identities. He characterized Eugenie as focused on family life and a more private image, while Beatrice has remained more visible at public events and social occasions. The panel debated whether either sister should eventually take on a larger royal role. Mark Dolan argued that any move to place Beatrice or Eugenie in frontline royal duties would be controversial given the ongoing public scrutiny surrounding their parents. While acknowledging their popularity with some royal supporters, he suggested that such a transition would likely require significant time and careful consideration before it would become a realistic possibility. The segment concluded with speculation about the future of the York sisters and whether they may eventually play a more prominent role within the royal family. While opinions differed, the discussion reflected the broader question facing the monarchy: how to balance family loyalty with public expectations as the institution continues to navigate a period of significant change and scrutiny. The discussion then turned to Princess Beatrice and Princess Eugenie, with the panel debating their future role within the royal family. While acknowledging that neither princess has been accused of any wrongdoing, the commentators noted that their public appearances often reignite discussions surrounding Prince Andrew and the controversies that have affected the York family. The host pointed out that every time the sisters attend a major royal event, media attention inevitably returns to the scandals associated with their father, making it difficult for them to establish an independent public identity. The conversation then focused directly on Prince Andrew and the ongoing debate over his royal titles and status. The host recalled a significant moment when King Charles publicly removed many of Andrew's royal privileges and responsibilities. Despite this, reports suggest that Andrew still expects members of his staff to address him using his traditional royal titles. This led to a discussion about whether his remaining titles should be formally removed altogether in order to create a clear separation between Andrew and the working royal family. Mark Dolan argued that removing the titles would make little difference to Andrew's mindset, suggesting that he continues to view his royal status as a birthright. According to Dolan, Andrew's alleged insistence on being addressed by royal titles reflects a sense of entitlement that has contributed to many of his problems over the years. Even if legal changes were made, he believed Andrew would continue to see himself as an important royal figure regardless of his official position. Tom Sykes agreed that reports about Andrew's behavior paint a picture of a man who remains defiant despite years of public criticism and isolation. He suggested that occasional photographs and reports emerging from Andrew's relatively secluded life offer glimpses into someone struggling to adjust to a dramatically reduced role. According to Sykes, stories about Andrew insisting on the use of royal titles reinforce the perception that he remains disconnected from the reality of his current situation. The panel also discussed what might happen once ongoing investigations and public scrutiny surrounding Andrew eventually come to an end. Sykes speculated that Andrew could ultimately choose to spend more time outside the United Kingdom, rather than continue living in what he described as a form of internal exile. However, he emphasized that Andrew still possesses a certain degree of influence simply because he remains a king's brother and a lifelong member of the royal family. No matter how many official privileges are removed, that family connection can never be completely erased. The discussion then briefly shifted to Sarah Ferguson, Duchess of York, with the panel speculating about whether she might eventually share her own perspective on past royal events through future projects or publications. While no evidence was presented to support any specific claims, the commentator suggested that her unique position within royal history means she could potentially offer valuable insights into significant events from previous decades. To conclude the program, the host introduced a light-hearted quickfire segment. When asked what alternative title Prince Andrew should have if he insists on retaining one, Mark Dolan jokingly suggested his royal loneliness, while Tom Sykes humorously proposed that Andrew should keep the initials HR but be required to paint them on his forehead every morning. The conversation then moved to Meghan Markle's business ventures. Referring to reports about unsold jam products, the panel jokingly brainstormed alternative names for a brand. As ever, one suggestion was Duchess Originals, while another playful proposal was to focus entirely on a single product called Gooseberry Fool. Finally, the panel discussed reports that Queen Camilla has developed a friendship with former Spice Girls member Jerry Halliwell. Asked what Camilla's Spice Girls nickname should be, the commentators offered humorous suggestions, including Royal Spice and Very Posh Spice. The segment ended on a cheerful note, with the host thanking her guests for their contributions and encouraging viewers to subscribe for future royal news and commentary.